This is an ad for Hasbro's Beyblade brand.
So you want to learn how to battle like the pros?
Like us!
Yeah, we got that coming up.
And follow the bugs! Right after this!
Dude, what is up? What is up, guys? Welcome. This is going to be Beyblade 101 class, but we are going to go over everything about Beyblades for beginners. And we're going to have some intermediate and advanced tips as well, so everyone can enjoy this. And we are using Hasbro's awesome new Beyblade Pro Series bays. We're going to use the Pro Series Stadium and set to go over everything. So dude, let's first go over a little bit about what Beyblade is. Beyblade has actually been around for, we're like a little over 20 years now, like 1999. Beyblade has started and it is still going strong. So, you know, there's some old time Beybladers, there's some new time Beybladers. So there's a whole mix of Beyblading. There's a huge Beyblade community. So the great thing about Beyblading is you can enjoy battling with your friends, with your family, with your neighbors, with your sisters, with your brothers, with your cousins, everyone. It brings everyone together and it is just a good time to get in there and battle. And then the cool thing, Hasbro actually has a virtual app that you can download on your mobile device where you can actually virtually battle your Beyblades. You actually scan them into the app so you can actually use the bays that you have and use all the parts. And then you can battle people that aren't close to you, that you can't.
That are far away.
That are far away, that, you know, if you have family that lives far away or friends that live far away. So it's pretty cool that you can still get your Beyblade on with those people. So first, let's take a look at the bays that we'll be using for this video. And these are the Beyblade Burst Pro Series from Hasbro. These are based off the Japanese style layers. We're gonna be using Judgment Joker, who is an attack type bay, and we'll go over all the parts and everything and why it's an attack type bay. We also have Zwei, Luinor, and that is its stats on the back too. And then we have a Perfect Phoenix, and that is its stats. That is a defense type. And Zwei Luna actually coming in as a balance type, which is interesting, but we're gonna go over why that's interesting. Also, the stadium that we're gonna be unboxing also comes with two bays, dude. We're getting CHO-Z Valtryek and CHO-Z Achilles, and we're gonna go over the gimmicks with the bays. And we're also gonna talk about strategy and how you can better battle your friends to try to take the win. So here we have the Pro Series bays unboxed, and the Pro Series actually comes with stickers for the bays that you put on them, so it adds a little of the nuances onto the bays, lots of little details.
Yep.
Because of those stickers. Then that is Judgment Joker. Then we got Zwei Luinor, CHO-Z Achilles, and CHO-Z Valtryek. Now let's take these apart, dude. Let's do a little deep dive into the bays themselves, how these bays actually come apart. Now this is the Burst Series. So the Burst Series has been, you know, we're a couple seasons in the Burst Series, and there's different actually Burst Series seasons that all have different types of gimmicks and different types of bays. And a lot of the parts still can be combined to work together. So we're gonna go over the different parts. And let's start with, who do you want to start with? Dude, you can pick who we start with, and then we are gonna
CHO-Z Achilles.
We are gonna talk about the bay, we're gonna talk about the parts. So let's start with CHO-Z Achilles. This is CHO-Z Achilles, and when you take this apart, you do a little twist there at the bottom on the driver. Now this is the driver, or also known as the performance tip. So if you hear driver performance tip, that is what they are talking about. So this is your bottom piece of your bay, and this is what is going to actually control your movement of the bay, your stamina of the bay, and you know.
And it can help with defense.
And it can help with defense. So your performance tip is extremely important when you're putting your bay together. So this is your forge disc, and there are other parts that can go on it, but this is your middle piece, which can affect the balance of the bay. It can actually help it with stamina, the weight, and depending on where the weight is on the forge disc, it can actually make it a little off weight. So it can actually affect attack types in a way that it might attack stronger on one side.
It can also help with attack if your bay is super small.
And then we have, this is a CHO-Z layer. So this is one piece right here, and this is CHO-Z Achilles. So with the Pro Series, they're using a teeth mechanism here, which is going to affect your burst resistance. The better the teeth, the more burst resistance the bay will have when it gets hit. And this is a CHO-Z Achilles bay. So that means this gimmick on this bay has something called a burst blocker. So this is actually, the harder you launch this bay, it will affect it bursting or not bursting. Bugs, why don't you tell us a little bit about the burst blocker?
So with the burst blocker, when you rip it as hard as you can and it comes out, if you can see the red coming out of the bay a little bit. Once you get when it gets to that point, it will actually make it even harder for it to burst when that happens.
It is really hard to burst the bay once the burst blockers are out. So that is a CHO-Z Achilles. Let's take a look at some of the other bays here. And so with Hasbro, you can actually, on the back of the boxes, it gives you the part numbers for the different parts that the bays come with. And if you actually scan the bays into the app, you will actually be able to see the actual other names for the actual pieces of the bays. So let's take a look at Zwei, Luinor, and then we'll go over some battling techniques. And let's also talk about why this is actually a balance type bay. Zwei, Luinor is, famously known as an attack type.
Yeah.
But because of the different parts that we're getting in this Pro Series bay, they're going with it as a balance type because of the performance tip. Do give us a little background on the performance tip.
So with the performance tip, it can change between attack, stamina, and defense, and you just have to move it to the side to switch. And when it's all the way like high up and there's not really a tip there, it's an attack. And then when you move it again and then you see a little bit of a tip there, then you can see that it's defense. And then when you move it again, then you can see more of the tip, then it's stamina.
And one thing with an attack type performance tip is that it does lack
stamina.
It does lack stamina because it's flat, so you're not going to get that spin for as long as your stamina type bays. So it's kind of a give and take. You want to know if you want an attack type, you might be giving up stamina. If you have a stamina type performance tip and a stamina bay, you're giving up some of that attacking. But in a bay like this, where you have a layer like Zwei, Luinor, it has a lot of attack points. So it's gonna hit your other bays pretty strong, and it has a good chance of bursting your other bays. And if you change up your driver to maybe like a defense or a stamina, it'll actually have good spinning. So it will spin for a while and give you some attack. This layer is actually a little different than the layer that we were looking at here with CHO-Z Achilles.
Yeah.
This actually will come apart. So what we get here is we actually get a chip of Luinor, and this type of layer actually has a weight as well. And there's different types of weights, which also give you different types of balance with your bay. So again, this is another type of a burst style bay from the Pro Series that gives you different types of parts that you can mix and match. So now that we covered the bays, let's talk a little bit about now strategy and also talk about launchers. This is a ripcord launcher. This comes with the Pro Series bays. It is a ripcord because it is a cord and you rip it out like that. There are, let's also, forgot to mention, there are right spin and left spin bays. Right spin is definitely the more popular of the bays. It's definitely more right spin bays, but you do get the left spins. Luinor is a left spin bay. Sometimes if you're not really sure how to tell is the way that the performance tip actually twists on. So on a left spin bay, it will actually twist to your left. A right spin bay will actually twist to your right. And you must use a launcher that is made for that type of spinning bay. So there is right spin launchers, there's left spin launchers. And there's some launchers made that actually do right and left, so you can actually switch up one launcher.
And the launchers also have codes, just like the bays.
So you can scan your code into the Hasbro app as well and get the launchers that you have into the app. So let's talk a little bit about launch technique, all right, dude? So everyone thinks you might want to launch as hard as you possibly can, and that's going to give you a win. Is that going to give you a win?
Not always.
Yeah, not necessarily. It really depends on your type of bay. So if you have a left spin bay battling a right spin bay, depending on the type of bay and how the gimmick is made, for example, there's some bays that have rubber that spin left. If you launch that bay soft, it does something called a spin steal. So launching that bay hard isn't actually gonna benefit you. So sometimes even something called a soft launch will actually help you win a battle using a left spin bay.
With a left spin bay, it takes away the other bay's stamina if it's right and turns it into its own power of spin.
Yep, that is a spin steal. So also, some bays are tighter than others with their burst resistance. And a little trick is, if you have a bay that you know is your bay is easy to burst.
Yeah, super easy to burst.
What would you do?
You would launch it soft. So because when you launch it hard, your bays are going spinning super fast at each other, so that would make it burst. But if you launch it softer, then your bays won't be colliding as hard, so it won't do as much.
Right, because when you launch that bay hard, the impact is so much harder. And if your bay is a loose bay where it's gonna have a good tendency to burst. That hard hit is just gonna burst it. So if you launch it like a little softer and not actually have such a hard shot, you will have a better chance of keeping your bay from bursting. Now, with mixing up the parts, you can take your frame, your disc, you can take your performance tip, you can put them on different bays. So you're changing up your layer with your forge disc, with your performance tip, right? So you have all different combinations that you can make with the bays.
Attack type bays are good against stamina bays. Stamina bays are good against fence, and the fence is good against attack.
And also, you know, just to mention, these Pro Series bays do have metal on them. So these bays are actually pretty heavy. So you're gonna get some really good, strong battles with these Pro Series bays. So let's take a look at the stadium, and then Bugs, we're gonna get to your favorite part. We are gonna do a couple battles with these bays in the stadium. This is the Pro Series bay, so let's talk actually about the battle themselves, right? So how does the battle work?
A battle is when you both have launchers with bays on them, and then you have to let it rip inside the stadium, and it matters on kind of what type it is. So if it's attack type, then it will go around the stadium faster. If it's defense, it will kind of go around the middle, but still like not go straight in the middle. And then if it's stamina, it will just usually just stick right to the middle, basically.
Yep, and a stadium like this, we are actually getting 3 pockets, and let's talk about scoring with Beyblading. So you can do a 3-point battle where if you get a ring out and you knock your opponent into one of these pockets, that would be 1 point. If you burst the other person's bay,
2 points.
2 points.
And if you beat the bay on stamina, that's 1 point.
So we have a ring out finish if you hit them into a pocket. If you actually beat them spinning in the actual stadium itself, that would be a survivor finish. And then if you burst the bay, that is a burst finish. Also, a thing with an attack type bay, we can talk about a different style of launching. It's called a rush launch, when you twist it a little bit, and you're looking for this thing called it's called a flower pattern, when you can get an attack type bay to do something like this. So if you have a bay that's sitting in here, like a stamina mode, in a stamina type bay,
yeah,
and
like
you're coming in
know,
like an attack with like a flower pattern, so you're basically kind of coming in there and attacking the center of the stadium. So let's show what it's like to battle a Beyblade, and me and the Bugs are gonna go at it, and let's do this. All right, so before we get into battling, let's just go over how to put your bay together, also how to get it onto the launcher. So let's take Valtryek to start out with, and since you can switch all your parts, you can switch your forge disc and your performance tip with any of these Pro Series bays. Let's take Luinor's driver because it's nice and red, and we're gonna put together a nice red bay going on right here with Valtryek. There's 2 different ways you can do this. As you can see in the forge disc, you can see where the metal goes down on the 2 sides there, and then on your performance tip, you can see where you have plastic coming out on the 2 sides. And what happens is that plastic drops down right into your 2 openings on your forge disc, where you can actually push it in and you can see it going down. Once you have that locked in there, you would then take your top layer, you would put it in, you would bring it all the way down to the bottom right, because it's a right spin bay. You would push your performance tip down, and then you would twist it to the left until it goes all the way up, and then your bay is locked in. Another way you can do it is you can take your forge disc first, you would take it, you would put it down into your layer, you would turn it all the way down to the right, you would then take your performance tip, you would line up your plastic with the indent in your forge disc, you would push it down, and then you would twist it. And then eventually, the more you do it, you just kind of get a feel for it, where you would just lock it in really fast, and you basically just spin it until you feel it, and then you turn it. So now let's take a look at the launcher. There's a ripcord launcher, so it will come all the way out. So before you put your bay on the launcher with the ripcord, you want to put your ripcord in, push it all the way through, then take your bay would basically just get pushed down onto your launcher. If it doesn't go down where you put it, just keep twisting a little bit till you can push it all the way down. Then you would turn your bay all the way to the left until it can't go no more. If you turn it the wrong way, you're gonna see your ripcord coming out, so you know that's the wrong way. It will stay on your ripcord launcher, and then you will just launch it like that. Let's get battling. All right, so here we go, battle time. I'm gonna be using Zwei Luinor, and I'm gonna use it in stamina mode, so it should take the center, but it will have, I think it's gonna have a little bit of movement based on the forge disc and the actual top layer that we're using. Bugs, who are you using?
CHO-Z Valtryek in attack type. And I'm gonna rush launch him. And a rush launch is basically when you tilt your launcher a little bit so it has more movement.
All right, so let's see how the battle goes. Let's see attack type versus a balance type in stamina mode. 3, 2, 1, let it rip. So here's the battle. You can see Zwei Luinor taking the center. Bugs attack type Bay taking the outside. Eventually he will come in to take a hit. There it is, coming in a hit. He's gonna try to slow down.
Big hits.
And this is gonna be a survivor finish. So the attack type Bay, as you can see, he has an attack type driver on here. So you can see the flat bottom. So he's not gonna have the greatest stamina, but he's gonna try to win with attacking and bursting. As you saw, Zwei Luinor took the win with stamina. Bugs, let's switch up the base. So now I am gonna launch Valtryek and the Bugs is gonna launch Luinor. And what mode are you gonna keep that in, dude?
Attack.
He's gonna put it in attack. We're gonna switch launchers because that is a left spin Bay. He's gonna take the left spin launcher. I'm gonna take the right spin launcher. This is CHO-Z Valtryek. His gimmick is the same as CHO-Z Achilles. So he does have a burst blocker that can come out to stop with the burst. So if you launch this Bay hard enough, it will protect against the burst. 3, 2, 1, let it rip. So the Bugs came out with an attack. So he had his driver on attack mode. So you saw him come out aggressively. So he had 2 attack type Bays coming out aggressively, hitting hard. So Luinor went into the pocket first. So that would have been a ring out finish. Valtryek would have taken the point. So let's take some other Bays here. I'm gonna take Perfect Phoenix. Perfect Phoenix has a gimmick on the outside where his actual outside piece called its armor comes off. So let's see how it goes. Bugs
And
is
that
taken.
armor only comes off when like a strong attack hits it off.
Bugs, who you taking?
I'm taking CHO-Z Achilles. He's got the same gimmick as CHO-Z Valkyrie, and he's a stamina type. And with his driver, it can go down sometimes.
So here we go. Perfect Phoenix, known as a defensive type. So we have defense versus stamina because CHO-Z Achilles having a stamina driver on it. So it should be able, both bases should be able to spin pretty good. 3, 2, 1, let it rip. These are both right spin bays. There you see the armor off. And the Bay went in a little bit in there, but he still came out. Still spinning, still alive, but let's take that one more time. 3, 2, 1, let it rip. All right, here we go.
I'm acting more like an attack type. I think because of my driver actually pushed down. So it's acting like an attack type.
Let's see, you're not gonna have too much power, so the armor may stay on my Bay. And you took a lot of stamina out on the outside, which gave Perfect Phoenix the win. And let's bring in the one Bay who didn't get to battle. Let's bring in Judgment Joker. Bugs is gonna go with
Zwei Luinor.
And the thing with Judgment Joker, one side will actually burst him a little more. The other side will
We'll have like a super strong side, so you'll never know.
Attack. So the joke is kind of on him. He's either gonna burst, or he's gonna give you a hard attack.
And his driver also has a
His
really
driver,
cool gimmick.
when you actually launch it, this is gonna actually launch out this piece right here, which is gonna make it kind of give it a little more stamina in the beginning. And then when it actually slows down, it's gonna drop down. And then it's actually gonna give it a lot more movement to give it attack in the end. Mm-hmm. So one thing we were mentioning before also, we were talking about our forge disc also having a frame. This would be a frame. So there's another piece that can be added onto your forge disc, you know, to give you a different type of action with your forge disc. Sometimes it'll give it different balance and stuff like that. So that is just another piece that can be added on to your forge disc. All right, here it is, last battle. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1, let it rip. Let's see if we can get a burst, dude.
Bounced out.
They're both in the pocket, out of the pocket. And since we're having so much fun, let's switch up and let's do one more battle. Let's do one more battle. Let's go. I am taking Luinor. I am putting Luinor. You has him in attack type. I am keeping him in attack type. My favorite Bay is attack type Bays. So
same.
Luinor in attack. You do struggle with trying to keep it with stamina, but I just like the hard hitting and I like the craziness that you can get with attack Bays.
Yes.
3, 2, 1, let it rip. Here we go. Let's see if we can burst Judgment Joker. Oh, there it is.
Wait, you bursted. I won.
Oh, I thought he actually bursted.
I bursted. I guess the power side came out, or maybe it was the weak side, and the weak side just bursted you, and it flipped me away.
So there it is. I actually got bursted. I thought I bursted the Bugs, but he actually bursted me. So that is it. Hopefully you guys learned some tips and tricks from Fun with the Bugs. Once again, thanks to Hasbro for sponsoring our video and Bugs. That was really cool. Take us out, dude.
That was amazing. Still thought I lost that last one.
We are